The Easy Life in Kamusari is a Japanese novel written by Shion Miura and translated into English by Juliet Winters Carpenter, and it's a really charming, sweet, relaxing tale. Shion Miura is pretty famous for writing a novel called The Great Passage, which I mentioned briefly before in another video. I can't remember if I've read that book or not. I remember owning it, and I can't remember if I read it. Not going to dwell on it. I read this, and this is what I'm talking about. The Easy Life in Kamusari tells the story of a young Yokohama boy who is finishing up high school, doesn't really know what to do with his life, is lacking in motivation and energy and anything, really, and his family just sends him off to a forest. He goes to this mountain called Kamusari, a forest on the mountainside called Kamusari, and a village in the forest on the mountainside called Kamusari. And there he learns forestry, and he hates it until he doesn't. This is a short 200-page novel with 5 or 6 long chapters that fill up its events and acts, if you like. And with each one, our young Yokohama boy learns to love the countryside, learns to love forestry as an art, as a career, and learns to love the people that he's surrounded by. The Easy Life in Kamusari is not a deep book with interesting themes to dive into and explore. It's not a bad book in any way, shape, or form. Neither is it the best thing you're going to read this year. It fits that wonderful kind of commercial fiction niche of being something that is just a quiet, serene, and sympathetic joy to read. It's like a hot cup of tea. It's soothing. It's lovely. It's warm. It's also the inspiration for a Japanese film which is translated into English as Wood Job. I haven't seen Wood Job. I might. I liked the book. I might watch the film. Wood Job. So Yuki Hirano arrives at the village/forest/mountain of Kamusari. At first, it goes as you'd kind of expect. From his perspective, this is the boondocks. This is a very rural area that has nothing to offer him. He wants to be in the city, he wants to have friends, he wants to have things to do, and he wants entertainment and light and liveliness. From the villager's perspective, he's the outsider. He doesn't understand their ways, he doesn't understand their traditions, even their language. There is a very specific dialect that is spoken there that has specific words and phrases that he's never come across before. And as it goes on, they warm to him, he warms to them, he even starts using some of their dialect and their language and their turns of phrase, and he embeds himself into their culture until the halfway point he actually finds himself with a big crush on the local girl. There's quite a big cast of characters here as well, old and young, and he finds a connection with most of them. They are each separated by pretty distinct personalities. And so each of them kind of represents a hurdle for him to jump or a challenge for him to meet. Sometimes he doesn't want to meet that. He doesn't care about getting to know them and vice versa until something pushes him and that other person closer together. It might be work, it might be play, it might be a festival, it might be a question that he needs to ask and he needs an answer to. But he slowly finds himself sympathizing with and growing to love each of the people that he sees every single day. The environment itself is also really charming. We get a lot of information about the area. We get a lot of information about forestry and how it works as a career, as an art form, as a necessary part of forging that relationship between man and nature. In fact, in a kind of Moby Dick way, The Easy Life in Kamusari splits its narrative between telling the story of Yuki Hirano and his ingraining himself into the culture, and also the art and act and work of forestry. There is so much information here about how tree surgery works. It's really interesting. It really feels like Moby Dick, where so much of that novel focuses on whaling and man's relationship to nature and the sea, as much as it does the protagonist and his personal goals. And everything that you learn is really lovely. But I can also imagine if all of that forestry, almost scientific detail was cut out of this novel, it would be a lot shorter. Because not a lot really happens, and that's not a bad thing. Again, this is a meditative, quiet, serene, lovely, warming novel. Yukihiro no, as someone who at the beginning is an angry teenager who doesn't want to be there, is unlikable until he's not. That's his arc, and you're following that arc, and it's satisfying to watch him grow and adapt. And the area itself is also a very tangible, colourful place. As I said, there are linguistic traditions and quirks, but there are also specific festivals. One festival in particular that starts in the middle of the night, which is just not a thing. And so Yuki is entirely confused by this festival, and he has to go along with it. And again, he digs his heels in and says this isn't normal, blah, 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 but he needs to be a part of this world. He doesn't have a choice. And so there are very specific festivals and traditions and ways of doing things that he's never come across before as a city person, as someone from a different prefecture in Japan. It's about city meets country. It's about changing your perspective and growing and learning. It's about being at that moment in your life where everything is changing. You are stepping over that line from childhood to adulthood, and you have to make a decision about how you are going to interact with the world itself, professionally, personally, socially, even geographically. And it explores all of that in a very charming and sweet way. There's a lot of funny dialogue. There's a lot of charming interactions between Yuki and the other characters, and all of this is translated beautifully by Juliet Winters Carpenter, who always does a great job with her Japanese translation. She really is a fantastic translator, and she has the reputation to back that up. And again, here her translation really shines. Shion Miura is a wonderful Japanese author. Pairing her with Juliet Winters Carpenter was a fantastic idea, and what we have here is a lovely, charming, sweet, innocent book that will make you feel all warm and cozy, but it won't set the world alight in any way. But not every book needs to. It's a really lovely, sweet book, and I recommend it. Subscribe for books.